Bonjour, Wapshke Makanekwe, Nindigenous, Bijou du Tem, Nisachwan Donji, Treaty 3 Anishinaabe Nation. I want to start off by acknowledging the territory that we're in, Treaty 1. I want to also acknowledge our traditional items that were here. I don't know where they went, but the traditional items along with the drum, the songs that were rendered, our elders that are in the room, and all of our visitors, the guests that are here. And I also want to acknowledge the Grand Chief. I know he's taking care of business somewhere else, right? There's always, if you can incorporate a lot of your meetings and things together, that's kind of what we do as leaders. I also want to acknowledge everybody that's here today and the importance of, or I guess I should say my English name first. It's Lorraine Cobiness. When you translate who I am, where I come from, and my clan, my name means white turtle woman, and in our culture, turtle represents truth. And that's part of who I am and how I represent myself and how I live my life is based on truth and being honest and sharing what we do going forward. I'm part of the Lynx clan. This is where my fancy skirt that I'm so proud of, that was designed by my daughter, my 12-year-old daughter, and was given to me as a gift. So she always tells me, she dresses me. She tells me, this is what you gotta wear today, this is what we gotta do. So, yeah, so I'm always in shorts underneath this, so that's how I roll. So again, I just want to acknowledge that, I'm happy to be here today. But I am gonna speak a lot of, from the heart. And I'm gonna start by, I was elected, started 2 years off on council, so 14 years altogether. So I came in my political role thinking, I'm gonna save the world, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna change that, and thinking, I'm gonna do this in 2 years. My head was like this big, and I'm thinking, I'm gonna do this, gung-ho and everything. And then finally, 2 years went by in council, and my people believed in me enough to vote me in as chief. So I became the first woman chief in my community, and I was very honored, and it was really humbling because I had to learn a lot. So anyways, one of the biggest things that freaked me out was at the time we started a lot of my work around water. It was political. It was political because we were dealing with flood claims. We were dealing with, the Ontario government. We were dealing with the provincial government. We were dealing with, international bodies that were making decisions. So anyways, here comes in a good friend of mine. It started off somewhat adversarial and with Todd and his group, and we were dealing a lot with the International Joint Commission and some of their impacts and decisions on our claims. So here I was, young, and oh man, I had our legal team saying, here, you gotta go this, do this, do this. And that really started the work and our work around water. And it started off politically, and it started off with the relationship that, wasn't really great at the time, dealing with Lake of the Woods Control Board, dealing with the IJC, dealing with, government, and them coming into our community saying, this is how we're gonna deal with water, and this is what we're recommending, and this is the task force that we want and that we need. And so I went in there, guns blazing, and, thinking, oh, geez, we're gonna deal with this today, So I had everybody kind of my big, broad shoulders behind me, and yeah, it was kind of interesting. So we got to do a lot of work and making a lot of recommendations along the way. And one of the things that, my community is big on, and that I've learned throughout the years, is that we need to work together in partnerships. We are great at forming partnerships. Maybe we weren't great at doing that way back in the day, but coming forward, realizing, taking the good things and the work that we've done with which is now Lake of the Woods, help me here, Todd, sustainability, something, something, something. But it's changed now, and it's grown, and it's big. But what we've learned out of starting the initial work, it was kind of adversarial, but we came to a point where it became where we were respecting each other's thoughts, where we were trying to learn from each other, and where we come from a place where we needed to recognize, acknowledge, accept that at the end of the day, what we wanted at the end of the day was basically the same. We may have been speaking a different language, but the overall goal and vision was to see a water that was protected, that was taken care of, that was going to be healthy again, and that was going to take care of all of us. Taking color, taking race, taking everything out of that picture and looking at the overall goal and vision. And that really helped us solidify what we believe in Treaty 3 is the importance of that relationship. Taking that relationship through ceremony, honoring that, seeing it being blessed, and taking our documents with that. And when we've done that in Treaty 3, we have never seen it fail. We have never seen things fail when they go through ceremony. And when our partners have gone through ceremony with us and they get a greater understanding of who we are as Anishinaabe people. And we go through their processes as well, and that mutual respect and that relationship has always allowed us to come through disagreements, to have different points of view, and to be able to work through that. And so I want to kind of acknowledge some of that. And I don't know where my presentation is. Maybe we can start in going through that, because I want to speak to a little bit about our water, the declaration that our elders, that our women have worked overtime and created the declaration through our beliefs, through our inherent rights. And I know Chief Perot shared a lot of the work that was done with the governance structure within Treaty 3. But this was done by our women. This was done by, our beliefs in our treaty and implementing that. Treaty 3 is a lot about understanding how we come from as a people, and how our belief in education and how we move forward with that politically is really important, because fundamentally our belief is that we will give you one of our kids as long as you can give us one of yours, and we will educate them, and we will share our history, our beliefs, our culture, our traditions, our language, so they're able to take our ways into every other society and share it, and we will do the same. And so we've been lucky enough to work with a young kid, and I'm sure you met him. His name is Lucas, and he's brought a lot of knowledge into the territory and shared that with us in terms of helping us translate our beliefs into what you see, and also helping us helping us understand the Western methodology around the work that you do with water. But also, he's learned so much from our women, right? Because we believe that our women are the protectors, the educators around water, because we are water, right from birth, right from, it's in our declaration, water is life, water gives life, water sustains life, but water can also take life if you don't respect it. And those are our fundamental beliefs. And as women, you will see that through our ceremonies that we have been gifted with are truly sacred, and that we do these in all of our ceremonies that you see, and they're not up for, people to just, we share them, we do them according to our schedules, we do them at every event because they need to be blessed, they need to be recognized, they need to be honored. And it's our women, no offense to the men here, but it's our women, really in our culture that are the warriors, that are out there, that are the protectors, they are life givers, and those are fundamental to any of the work that we do moving forward. And you will see a lot of our women in those roles. And in Treaty 3, you see a lot of women that are leaders. There's about, out of our 28 communities, I believe there are 13 female chiefs. And we also lead the way in also other areas that are around negotiating resource revenue sharing agreements. And so I can't say enough. I'm biased, of course, but because I see the work. And this is just a natural part of our role that we believe. So just wanted to share a little bit about the declaration itself. So I don't know if the dude who's actually going to click and move forward, or do I have this? No? Okay. There's our women's, sorry, I got it now. There's our women's council. They're beautiful. There's Lucas there. I think everybody should have one. I said that the other day. Everybody should have Lucas. Have one in our communities. Just because he's great. They're also coming up for some new selections, and in our territory, we do them traditionally. It's not like the federal election, I'm telling you. You when we do our traditional selections in Treaty 3, you cannot BS anybody. You go into a roundhouse, you stand behind your man, and it's truly transparent, and it's a beautiful process. So we're going through this whole process with our communities, with our youth leadership and our women's council, and eventually our Ogichita in early October. So there's a declaration, there's our Nibi news that gets shared because of the importance of the work that we're doing. I also wanted to highlight this because way back in the day, in 2008, our work started a lot earlier with the IJC. We met with them in October of 2018, and we made some really strong recommendations into what we thought we seen for water governance. And we wanted to start with our international partners because water doesn't have boundaries as far as we're concerned. So we're really proud of this because this wall hanging was very significant to us because it signified, what we wanted to see in terms of our relationship as Anishinaabe people or Indigenous people, along with our fellow Americans and the Canadian commissioners. So it was really significant to us, and we explained that to the commissioners, and we're proud to say that a piece of Treaty 3, our beliefs hang within their offices today. And to us, that's very significant. And so we're in between both of the flags, and our hanging is there, and they acknowledge that. And I also want to say that I really love to believe that what we had spoke about and the position that Treaty 3 took is a direct result of why we have the Indigenous commissioners that we do have today. And a lot of the recommendations are being implemented as we can start to see the advisory committee that they do want to strike. But overall, our message is clear and consistent, is that we need to have our commissioners there We need to have more meaningful work, and that the old way of doing business, as far as Treaty 3 in terms of governance of water, is done. If we're not there, things just ain't going to be happening, and that's bottom line. And that's the position that we've taken, which is how you can see that we operate, because we have our laws, we have our inherent laws, and we're just doing it, like it or not. I know a lot of people don't like to hear that, but that's just what we're doing. And again, this is part of the International Joint Commission, the new commissioners, with the Anishinaabe gathering that happened up in, I believe it was Treaty, I'm not sure which treaty area, but this was an event that happened, and they're always committed to coming to doing work with us. So we're really proud of that. There's some contact stuff I'm sure they shared with you. One of the big things I want to share with that we're involved in is with our own community is a Monoman project. It's a research project. And basically here's some just historic pictures that were done way back in the day, and here's a picture of some of our rice fields that are today. Well, there's nothing. So our goal overall is, you know, we're located on the Winnipeg River, so we're in between dams. Like, it is crazy insane. Every other year we might get a good crop depending on how the water gets regulated with Lake of the Woods Control Board. So basically we decided with people that our communities that live on Lake of the Woods, and then those of us that are actually on the river, so we decided that we were going to arm wrestle every year to determine who was going to get a good rice field, because that's how it works with us. You know, if there's a lot more, we have to compromise. So a lot of the times that's what we've done. So it's either a leg wrestle or an arm wrestle or something like that will determine what happens. So we haven't had that much great rice. So what we're doing with our project is, you know, we're trying to find out why we don't have it. And I think we do know why. So we're trying to get that organized. We're working with the University of Guelph. We have very young, educated worker who's one of our band members who works with us and is coordinating the project. So we are in line. We also want to develop co-strategies for revitalizing wild rice, but there's also, and maybe I shouldn't say that, maybe I won't get back to them, but there are political and there are political reasons for why we're doing the research, right? Because a lot of the regulation around water deals with hydro, deals with power generation, and at what cost, right, to our people. So a lot of the work that we're doing is highlighting a lot of these areas, but also to develop stronger communication, because it's not about just, you know, at the end of the day, it's a political thing, it's a grievance thing. It's about bringing those crops back to where they used to be before, you know, the dams were in, before we had power, before all of these other things that affected that resource to us. So we also want to produce and provide curriculum to our kids, our youth, our elders, and share that within the territory, but also share it with our non-Anishinaabe people as well. We also want to provide more opportunities for youth, right? To get out there and start doing the traditional harvesting, because we're finding, you know, people want to bring in the boats, and we want to get back to how we used to do it way back in the day when I was a kid. Believe it or not, we were out in those rice fields, and they were picking, and mind you, I was a kid. They used to haul us out in canoes, but my grandparents, and we would be on an island, believe it or not. And what they would do is they would haul out all my older cousins and uncles and aunts, and they'd go out and pick the rice, and oh my goodness, they'd leave all of us kids on the island, knowing there was nowhere to go, nothing to do, right, except swim. So there wasn't much that we could do, but holy man, little did they know what we did when they were gone. We could have started fires, and oh man, we were into everything. We were sneaking stuff, and oh, we were bad. But they didn't know. They didn't find out till after the fact. But it was fun. And those are the things that we did. Those are the things that we want to get back to. So we are using social media, right? We're finding that we need to adapt to the ways that our kids learn, and we need to be tapped into those resources so that we're sharing information and getting out there. Really, as much as, we want to preserve and we want to, share our culture, our traditions, we also need to learn and know, and that we're recognizing that we need to share it in a way that our kids understand, because they're the ones that are actually going to be looking after us when I'm old. So that information also needs to be translated that way as well. So our next steps, right? Continue to feast the resource, creating those opportunities for collective learning, sharing what we know. Because we're not in the bush anymore, hiding. We're fearing that things are going to be taken away from us, or we're celebrating it, and we're willing to share. So we want to conduct plant, water, soil samples through this major funding application, providing that we're successful, which I think we're going to be. And we want to also lay the groundwork for a strong project, determining how to continue monomen harvesting while doing our study. So we're teaming up with researchers, with doctors, with everybody under the sun to make sure that this is sustainable for our kids and in the future. Plus, like I said, there's a lot of other political ties attached to it, but that's not the end goal. So again, they're actually out on the river today, our elders, some of our youth, and they go out there, they're checking the crops, checking the rice, checking to see what's happening, looking at the water levels, checking at some of our sacred sites, and they're actually out there today and over the next few days. Now this is my baby. I'll get into the next piece. 10 years ago, we started doing some work around what was happening in the river, right? The mill had closed. We were looking at finding out what the heck's going on with our walleye, what's happening. And we realized that, we had no sturgeon. Our fish were looking funny. They looked like they were kind of glowing a little bit. They had some weird looking eyeballs, and things were just not right. And we knew why, right? We had a mill that was operating, and we started seeing some things that were clearing out. The water was getting healthier after the mill shut down. We were doing our own studies. We were, sampling the walleye. And in that, we realized, where's our sturgeon? What the heck? We were doing netting. We were trying to find out, was there even anything? And I think we found one. We managed to harvest. We didn't harvest them, but we netted one. And we were just taken aback by that. Our elder said, this is your job. You need to find ways to bring our sturgeon back to where it was when we had a healthy population, before the dams were put up, before the pollution was in there that really decimated our sturgeon population. So I said, okay, let's do this. Or what's the new words? Studis is the new word. I just found out what that was from my kid the other day. So, yeah, it was amazing. Because I asked him myself, what the heck is this word? What are you trying to say to me? He's like, studis. He's like, let's do this, mother. I was like, oh, okay. Makes sense now. So anyways, our elders gave us that same marching order. So way back 10 years ago, 12 years ago, actually 12 years ago, we had started trying to find out what the heck was going on. Because we were undertaking efforts that really did not make sense. And these were projects that were funded by M&R that were taking sturgeon fry and saying, okay, well, let's dump them in the water and let's see what happens, right? And people in the room know fries are like, what, this big? And then you're gonna dump them into a river system thinking, okay, let's see if they can live and they can survive. Well, the minute they get in there, they're food. They don't survive. They don't live, you know, and I was so green, so young, I had no idea, right? So M&R, I was like, okay, we're gonna do this. They're gonna come in and we're gonna have a sturgeon fry. I'm like, what? What are we talking about? We're trying to recover the sturgeon. Why do we want to fry the sturgeon? You know, and I didn't know. And I was like, are we doing something wrong? But anyways, my learning has come tenfold since then. That's how green I was. As a result, we were looking at ways to try and recover our sturgeon. Oh, I should be clicking too. Here's some pictures of some of the work that we're doing. A few years ago, we realized we needed to put a real concerted effort into recovering our sturgeon. We weren't getting help anywhere else. We were trying to get funding through M&R, and you know how tight they are. Sorry if there's any M&R people in the room, but they're pretty tight, right? And they have strict guidelines of what they want to see, do, and feel. So we said, you know what? We have specialists. We have our people. We have resources in the territory. So we went to one of our communities, Rainy River First Nation, and we sat down with our elders. We sat down with their chief and council. We sat down with their youth, and our people sat together, and we learned from them. They educated us on things that we needed to do, things that we can do in terms of moving forward. We cemented our relationship in ceremony. We're family. Our elders became family. And we said, help us. What are the things that we can do to help? And then we kind of got back on side with M&R, and we said, what can you do to help? And we talked to one of our old partners, right? One of the people that we sued, OPG, and we come to some reconciliation with them, and they said, let's help. We can help you fund these projects, and we can help you see this resource come back. Neme, this big, beautiful, funny-looking fish, I will tell you, it's monster, it's huge, and scary looking, but they're beautiful. And we developed a project, and these are high-tech fish, I tell you, running around in between the dams where I am on the Winnipeg River. So what we did was we worked collaboratively with M&R. We had our own people, Rainy River, and OPG in our community. Rainy River ended up gifting us, in the first start of our project, 15 juvenile sturgeon. And we had devised a plan with M&R to, they underwent surgery. They were implanted with GIS, GPS, and they actually have them in the fish, so we can track where they're going, what they're doing, who they're hanging out with, kind of what, you know, where they're laying low, and holy man, it was absolutely incredible, and it was one of the best things that I have seen in my life in terms of the data that we're tracking and who's actually taking that data, reading it, and producing it. That was year one. So we had 15. We didn't lose a single sturgeon, not one. They stayed. Some of them ran up the river. Some of them jumped the dam. Some of them got through, right? Some of them got through, but they came back. they actually came back. And as a result, we figured, well, let's add and let's do this another year. We went through our ceremonies. We had our non-Anishinaabe partners within M&R take part in those ceremonies. We did these before we actually took our sturgeon into the second round. We blessed them. We did everything that we needed to do, and it was undertaken by our elders. They were implanted again. Last year we were gifted 12 additional sturgeon, and I don't know, however you sex them, and I don't know, but it was I don't know who's out there and what they're doing, and I don't know what that looks like either, but it'd be interesting. We leave it to the experts. I always say, leave it to our ladies, leave it to the people that know. They're all still there. Every single one of our sturgeon are still in that river system. They're all over the place. We've actually named a couple of them because we have one that just kind of races all over the place, and we think he's just having fun with all the ladies out there and going to all these, doing his thing. But they are still there. And the data that is coming through and the education that we've had to do in terms of protecting these guys is phenomenal, because our partners along the river system have acknowledged that. And if they've communicate with us if they have sightings or if they've managed to net one or caught one, they put it back, and they respect that, because our lights go off, things go off along the river system that let us know when one of them is in trouble. And we monitor that quite often and quite regularly, and we get reports. So that process actually took quite a bit. It was amazing. We had to do things right down to 10-minute intervals, and Justin Trudeau here has given me some timelines here, because I wanted to share. I know, dude looks like Justin Trudeau. I was like, holy macaroni. I want to take a selfie with him. But, so he was going to give me 5 minutes advance notice because I want to share a video with you, and it will show you the importance of this sturgeon project and where we're going with this and the success that we've seen, but also the highlights, our people that have come across the territory to be part of the project, just so that they can see, feel, touch, and put one of the sturgeons into the water. And to them, that was very sacred. That was sacred because to them it was once in a lifetime opportunity to be able to do that, to care for your own clan. And I say that because, and I joke because I'm allergic to fish. And Anishinaabe person allergic to fish, they just don't exist. I often say, if I was born a long time ago, I would have starved. I probably wouldn't have made it at all, so, but it just gives me that much more greater respect for our fish, and our responsibility as Anishinaabe people to protect those resources that live in the water. And it's our responsibility as political leaders to share that information as much as we can, so that we need to educate ourselves. We need to get our heads out of the sand and realize that we got to do this together. Without the Anishinaabe people, without the people across Turtle Island, we're not going to see greater successes. But I'd like to be positive and say that when we have these relationships, we will see great success. And you will not do this without us. It will not happen without us. That message is going to be clear. It's clear from Treaty 3. it's clear in terms of how we're partnering with all of the other nations, with all of the other treaty areas. It will not happen without us. This is why we need to start these discussions right across the country, right across Turtle Island, without recognizing borders, that we need to do this together. Or we just do it anyways, right? Treaty 3, we just do it anyways. But I just want to say, I acknowledge that these partnerships with SCO and everywhere else that are happening are forming great partnerships, and we want to do that with all of the people in this room as well. And we want to share. And that's my message as a leader, as a woman, as a grandmother. I'm a grandmother too, by the way. And so I take those very, very, very seriously. And like I said, it's about taking those common goals, that common vision, and taking everything out of it and working towards that. Because without water, nobody in this room is going to survive. Without protection, without monitoring, and without having decision making, we can't survive. So let's start. Who's going to do the video here? It's 5 minutes, but it's beautiful.
Bonjour, I'm Don Anderson. I work at the Dallas First Nation here. We're working on the station project. I've been working on it for around 4 years. This is our second release. Last year we released 12 hours. This year we released 15. It's a really important fit to our community. We do have certain high numbers here. We've almost lost our sturgeon here on the Winnipeg River because of the mill, depletion, damage. So now it's just really productive. We're going really well with the sturgeon project. Also, we do have partnerships with Rainy River First Nation, OPT, and Northern Manhattan.
Well, I'm Cobiness, the outgoing district manager at the Ministry of Natural Resources in our district. We're an active partner with Lorraine, and we are very interested in their efforts to recover sturgeon into the Winnipeg River. It's a very important cultural component for the community, very spiritual aspect, and for all of us, it's part of helping to recover the environment from past spills. Certainly, the Ministry of Natural Resources looks at this as an opportunity to strengthen our relationships with our partners in these three lands, and we're very anxious for the success of this project. Sturgeon are important to everything. We think that our partnership contributes to the well-being of all of the people in the community. In 2017, we released 12 fish, very similar to video today, and it was really unknown how many fish would stay in this part of the system between the Northern Dam and the White Dog Dam, and how they would do, how they would fare for the year. And we were pretty sure that the river system was healthy enough to support them. And fortunately, we learned that that was true. So 11 of the 12 fish stayed in the part of the river system. The 12 ended up going further north of the White Dog Dam, and it was also doing well there. So this year we released 15 based on that success, and we're hoping that we can have 25 plus fish to help replenish the sturgeon population in the Winnipeg River. Well, I think it was necessary for Rainy First Nation to be involved in this project because I think we're blessed on Rainy First Nation that we still have an abundance of sturgeon. And we've had one of our community members running our hatchery there for years and become quite the expert to help them repopulate this water system. I think just not only like a duty of ours, but because we're commissioned as stewards of the land, so I think it's our duty to help any way we can. So I'm proud to be involved in the project.
Project has been close to our
So I just want to say in closing, miigwech for allowing me to share the work that we're doing because it is so important. And again, if there's anything that we can do to help any other community or anybody that needs help, Nisatchwan is about sharing and about creating partnerships and about helping. Miigwech.